A short time ago, I showed you around the latest addition to the Renault lineup, but there was one missing piece, the drive. But that all changes.
Because today, I finally get to go out and drive the all-new Renault Austral.
The Renault Austral has arrived at Holdcroft Renault dealerships. This all-new hybrid SUV, which features Renault's brand new trim labelled Esprit Alpine, is aiming to take the self-charging hybrid market by storm. But first, if you want to see more car content from the latest cars on the market, then subscribe to the Holdcroft YouTube channel. And to find your next car, then head to the Holdcroft website. So what do we already know about the Renault Austral E-Tech Hybrids? Well, if you can't already guess, it's an SUV. It features the world debut of the Esprit Alpine trim, which features Alpine branding throughout. It houses a new self-charging hybrid system and features new driving technology.
So then, let's talk driving stats of the all-new Renault Austral. You know, with a self-charging hybrid, you would want a good driving experience and ultimately a cheaper driving experience, something that's very fuel efficient. And fuel efficiency and Renault Austral are very much four words that come hand in hand, because this car can produce upwards of 16 miles per gallon and can also travel over 680 miles from a full tank before you need to fuel up. Because of the way that self-charging hybrid system works, that regenerates power, recycles that electricity and puts it back into performance. 680 miles from a full tank. That is some of the biggest ranges you can get on the market. It's an exceptional stat by Renault, and they've done an amazing job to get that, to achieve that with the Renault Austral.
But what about performance? Well, the Austral produces a 0 to 60 time of 8.4 seconds, top speed of 108 miles per hour and 205 Nm of torque. This performance is assisted by a 1.2 litre turbocharged engine and a new electric motor.
And you can hear that electric motor kick in when you set off the line. You know that this car's driving in full electric when you put your foot on the accelerator. And I just really like that. It almost is a gateway into an electric car. You have that sense of the car industry gearing towards an all-electrified future. But I just think a self-charging hybrid is the perfect next step, because you're getting that electric driving experience, but you don't have to charge up. And that's probably the one thing that's putting people off owning an EV, is that sense of charging up. Also, because of that electric motor, it can start up in full electric. So yes, it's not, looking at them stats, it's not the quickest car out on the road. However, do you know what? It feels quite nippy. It has that instant torque. It has that really good acceleration off the line. And I wouldn't really say I'm worried about getting out junctions in this car. It seems pretty quick. I'm just like, then I had to quickly pull out of a junction, and I did that with ease. That electric motor really kicks in. Yes, might not be the best 0 to 60 times, but it certainly feels quicker in practice. So 680 miles that you can drive the Austral before needing to pull over to get petrol. That's excellent, because the way that hybrid system works, it recharges, it recycles that energy created through the petrol engine and then puts it back into that electric motor which drives this car. 680 miles from a full tank. That's brilliant. I just want to talk more about the actual interior of this car. Obviously, with this being the top spec, the middle and top spec come with that Alpine branding. So you get that sport-like interior. But it's an interior that has so much storage, has so much space, been thought out very well. I just want to draw your attention to this almost plane-like throttle in your center console here, because you look at it and you're thinking, oh, that looks a bit odd. But you know what? To rest your arm on when you're driving, also the fact that it can cover your mobile phones and cover your storage because it's movable. It has that wireless charging pad on. It's been thought out excellent, because it's practical. You can lean your arm on, you can also rest your arm when you change your infotainment screen or your climate controls. It also can mean you can protect your phone, and the fact that them use that space on top to have a wireless charging pad. I mean, this was a genius stroke by Renault, the whole design of this interior. But it also just features like your armrest on your door is at the perfect height. You can quite easily see all your infotainment screens with how the steering wheel's been displayed. Your wing mirrors with that blind spot monitoring, also obviously manoeuvrable, and they're some of the biggest wing mirrors I've seen in any car. They're huge. You feel like you can see so much of the road. The amount of infotainment technology you have in this car is, to be honest, mind-blowing. You have that big driver's display, you have that massive infotainment screen, and you also have head-up display. So I'm looking at 3 different bits of navigation. I've got my head-up display, I've got navigation built in the drive display, but then that also shows your energy flow, your usage of your petrol and that electric battery, and that massive infotainment screen. You're never going to get lost in the Renault Austral because you are absolutely plastered with information when driving this car, let me tell you. I mean, the 360 parking cameras on this car are incredible. The fact that when you just move in and out of spaces, it automatically changes for what the best camera is, and how big that screen is just makes this car just so maneuverable. I mean, it is quite a big car. It don't feel massive when you're driving it though, and that is also helped by the fact that this car comes with 4-point steering. So essentially what this means is that rather than just have your front wheels that turn when you're going left or right, the back wheels also turn. This means that this car has a 10.1 metre turning circle, which, to put it into context, this is quite probably a mid-sized large SUV. This has the exact same turning circle of that of a city car. So it just goes to show that added technology, the fact that the rear axles also move when you're turning, just means that this car is so much more practical. Going around corners, I can really feel that 4-point steering. I mean, all I need to do is slightly turn the steering wheel. You feel you get complete control over this car. Sometimes when you're driving a big SUV, it almost feels like you're driving a bit of a bus. Some of the larger boxy type SUVs out on the market, you're driving it and don't necessarily feel like the nicest car to drive. It might be comfy, it might be spacious, might be luxurious, but the handling maybe not the best. But you certainly get that on the Austral. You feel you get a really fun driving experience for an SUV, which, unless you're going to the upper echelons of the car industry, I don't really think you get that. For almost like an entry-level SUV on the market, to have a car that's actually really fun to drive, I think it's been great work by Renault. Obviously, with this being the top spec, as you can see, it does have that panoramic sunroof. Now, the middle spec, the only real difference is the fact it doesn't have that panoramic sunroof. It still has that Alpine trim. The lower spec still has a good interior. So no matter what spec you get, you're still going to have a good driving experience, and driving experience which takes place in a nice interior.
And sticking with specs, let's delve a little deeper and talk costs, because the Austral comes in 3 specs: the Techno Esprit Alpine, and Iconic Esprit Alpine. Prices start from just over the 34,500 mark, and top spec just short of the 39,500.
You see, with the release of the Renault Austral, it means we are unfortunately losing the Renault Kadjar. However, I feel like it's a massive upgrade. Over the years, Renault have been introducing their electrified range, the release of the all-electric Renault Zoe and all-electric Renault Megane. They also brought out their E-Tech range, which is their range of hybrids, which now includes the Clio and also the Arcana. And now it has the Renault Austral, which I must say is the most impressive out of the lot.
And if you are interested in the all-new Renault Austral and want to find out more, or in fact book a test drive, then contact your nearest Holdcroft Renault dealership or inquire via the Holdcroft website.